Good afternoon. My name is Savannah Lacey. I work for the Army Corps of Engineers. I live up in Jacksonville, but I'm a lifetime Florida resident, grew up in South Florida, and here today to talk to you about how you can be involved with the Army Corps of Engineers. We're a unique organization, and I think not everybody knows how they can be involved. So I'm going to talk to you today about how you can be involved with what I do. I'm a water manager, so I move water around. My primary focus is on Lake Okeechobee. I make technical recommendations to our command on when, how, and how much to move water around on Lake Okeechobee. So, and I have a couple of unique opportunities that I think some of you are already participating in because I saw some faces and names that I recognize today. My background, I'm a civil engineer with focus in hydrology and hydraulics, and got my bachelor's and master's at Clemson up in South Carolina. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, just kind of starting to introduce, everybody's familiar with Lake Okeechobee, everybody's familiar with the flood control project that we have here in Florida, which is the Central and Southern Florida project. Army Corps of Engineers manages this project along with our partners, the South Florida Water Management District, as well as the Southwest Florida Water Management District and the St. Johns River Water Management District. These projects are multi-purpose. They're often at odds with each other, and it makes for a unique and challenging management system. I won't go, again, too much into detail of what all we look at because I think I'm here to really talk about how you can get involved, but the basics of Lake Okeechobee is we have regulation schedules, which are a set of guidelines which we determine through a NEPA. We determine those rules through the series of NEPA documentation and public involvement. And then we also have coordination and information gathering that we do in real time that inform those schedules. So this is what I really want to talk to you about. So the Corps, on a weekly basis, we have kind of what we call a weekly battle rhythm, if you will, since we're the Army. Basically, every week I hear from a whole slew of organizations and public. I know I'm on a first-name basis with several members of the public in your community that speak out and talk with me on a weekly basis. I actually had somebody call me as I was driving here asking me about operations, just a marina owner. He was concerned and he wanted to know. He got my phone number from somebody. And I talk to folks in your community all the time. So some of the folks that we work very close with, obviously the Water Management District, as I mentioned. We have two tribes in Florida that we work with, the Miccosukee tribe and the Seminole tribe. We work closely with federal agencies such as U.S. Fish and Wildlife and EPA, as well as Florida state agencies like Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and DEP. So a call that I hold on select Tuesdays is called the Lake Okeechobee Peer Act Scientist Call, which is I think where I interact with most of the stakeholders here. This is a way for the Army Corps to gather information about current conditions. So I get ecological reports, I get reports on salinity, about algae, about prescribed burning. I get information from all of these organizations on a weekly basis and from the public, what they're seeing in their backyard. My canal looks like this today, or here's my concerns because I saw a fish kill the other day. I'm getting that information on a weekly basis, and actually everybody can be involved with this. We have the primary exchange of information is between agencies because that's how we kind of have to operate. Then we have a public comment period which allows any one of you to participate in that and provide public comment, give me any information that you may have that week. And to receive invites, which again I know a lot of you do, you can email me directly to get on that invite list. So because we're the federal government, we have a very specific set of rules about how we can interact with everybody. And so I mentioned that our calls, we have most of our interaction is with the agencies. So, and then we have a public comment period. We've talked a lot today actually about all of these agencies and how you can be involved with them. And I encourage you to keep involved, because these agencies can interact with the Corps of Engineers in a different way than just a public can. So I encourage you to both participate as a public, but then also working through these agencies with your particular issue or concern. They have the resources and the time and the experts to be able to bring these issues to the Corps with the right information. And I think you're familiar, we talked about elected officials a lot today, which I'm really glad. Local government, I work very closely with Lee County scientists, as well as Sanibel, Cape Coral, and Fort Myers Beach scientists, state agencies, like I mentioned, and then federal agencies. And then non-governmental organizations, they operate the same way as we have to interact with them as a public, but they provide a lot of really good information and data to us on a regular basis. Some of the agencies I work pretty close with are Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation, Audubon of Florida, that sort of thing. Those folks are very involved, and the more the better. So looking towards the future, how can you be involved with Lake Okeechobee operations? In addition to our regular daily operations, we're planning a new regulation schedule for the lake, which is called LOSOM. Poor buddy. You've probably heard about it. We just started it last year, and we're currently in the thick of it. We're just now developing finalizing our performance metrics for that. But basically, we have monthly PDT meetings, which are project delivery team meetings, and the public can be involved in every one of those. We also have technical sub-teams where you can get really in the weeds, roll up your sleeves, and talk about water quality. You can talk about water supply. You can talk about what modeling efforts are going on, that sort of thing. So this LOSOM effort is going pretty slow, and that's really good for your public involvement. So at every stage, whenever we make a decision, whenever we have data, when we have our modeling results, when we decide literally anything in this project, we're going to come out to you guys, the public, and say, this is what we saw, this is what we're thinking, tell us your feedback. And so it takes a little longer to do that, of course. And I know some people are frustrated with our pace on this, but it's a delicate balance between wanting to move and do things to help right now and doing it the right way and having public involvement at every step of the way. So that's what we're trying to do right now. And so I encourage you to come to our PDT meetings. They're located all throughout the state. We've been kind of moving around. Next week we have one in West Palm at the Water Management District headquarters, but we've had one over here, and we've had one in Clewiston and all over. So more than likely sometime in 2020, one will be near you. So I encourage you to participate in that, and we also will, once we get a final plan and everything, we'll release a draft EIS, which you can comment on, of course, through our processes. And so here's just some links with information. Information about water management, what's going on right now, what are lake levels, what are the flows at Franklin Lock, that sort of thing. You can go to our water management webpage. For more information about LOSOM, we have a web page for that as well. We also, one thing I want to point about the LOSOM website is we have a series of educational webinars, which are PDFs of presentations and audio recordings that we've done last year to kind of educate the public. We have one about the Central and Southern Florida Project 101. Where did it start? Why did we do it? How does water move through the system? We have one focusing on the current regulation schedule for Lake Okeechobee, which is called LORS 08. We have one for estuary management. We have one for lake ecology. There's all kinds of really cool information there that kind of breaks it down. So I encourage you to look at some of those resources we have there. There's our main page there, and then I also have our corporate communication email. If you don't know where to go or where to start or who to talk to, these folks, who I know pretty much all of them personally, are very helpful and know who the right folks are to get you your questions answered. So save those websites and email addresses for future use. And that's all I have.